Commercial real estate in Canada is continuing its upward trend. Some say the market offers developers stability and a lot of untapped growth potential. Here with a look at some of the trends in commercial real estate, Gragtsmans, Executive Vice President of Colliers International, and Lorne Braithwaite, CEO of Build Toronto. Great to see you both.
Thanks for having us.
Thank you very much.
Lorne, let's start with Build Toronto and just what it is, because people, I think, will have heard of it. They might be vaguely aware of it, but not everyone will know exactly what it is you do. So what's your mandate?
It's a relatively new organization that was developed by the City of Toronto, and we're a real estate development and investment company, and we're a self-funding organization that is challenged with the mandate of taking underutilized real estate in the City of Toronto and making something out of it.
And so, in terms of how you fit together, this kind of a player, I imagine, is pretty good in the market in terms of kind of keeping, well, I guess exploiting unused potential. It's got to be put a floor under prices in some ways. Yeah,
well, frankly, as a stakeholder in the City of Toronto, because I live here, it's a tremendous thing. You know, we have the city benefits so much from this, and this isn't a sales line for Build Toronto. It's a model, in fact, that has happened in many other places successfully around the world. Thank God for Lorne and his team and his board, and for the fact that they're actually taking these underutilized pieces of real estate that are scattered throughout the city and worth, Amanda, billions upon billions of dollars, and actually helping to attack our deficit, right? Yeah. The challenges that we have in the city and being able to provide better services. So it truly comes down to having professionals, as well as some of our political set, working together to go ahead and maximize that. So it is a truly good success story.
I don't think anybody would debate that Toronto has a very serious infrastructure problem. So how would you sort of characterize the planning and development process in Toronto, and what can the city do to improve things in order to, help you kind of do your job?
That's a very good question. Do you want to?
Please, I'd hope you'd taken this one over, frankly.
It's a very good question. The planning process is a very complicated process in most jurisdictions, and I think Toronto in some ways does it very well. In other ways, I think there's opportunity for improvement, and I think that they're working hard to try and streamline the process and enable developers and others with the opportunity to bring potential development activity and real estate investment activity to the forefront faster, and that makes a difference in the real estate business. And I think some of the recent changes that have gone on in the city, probably in the last 3-4 years in particular, I think it started probably about the time that the Build Toronto was created, which was in June of 2009. And I've been there for 3 years, and we've made tremendous progress. We've had a very successful launch. It was targeting to pay a dividend back to the city by year 6 or 7. And full 4 years ahead of schedule, about 6 weeks ago, we delivered a $20 million dividend to the City of Toronto, net of everything, overheads, office rents, everything. And that's, that's a testimony to the success of the initiative.
This is a city that needs a lot more than $20 million, unfortunately.
Absolutely.
How big can that number get?
Well, the number can, as we build it over time. Another success story that we had recently, what was a lot more than $20 million, is we took the Chorus building, which had been built on the waterfront, and we took advantage of a very, very strong international market in terms of commercial investment in the City of Toronto, and in particular in Canada. And we were able to monetize that asset, and it brought in just under $200 million of additional cash that was available to the city to pay down debt and to go into reserves and other such things. And it was at a very, very attractive cap rate. I think I'm okay to say that it was at a 5 cap rate.
Are there a lot of those kinds of assets, or are we talking about, empty fields or, farmlands, or, what exactly is out there right now?
Well, Build Toronto's mandate is the 416 area, less the Portlands. And in the 416, there are some very large projects that we are working on. Some of them you would recognize, Downsview, for example. We will have probably in excess of 100 acres to develop in Downsview. It'll take 10 years to develop it out. Yonge and Eglinton is a huge, huge opportunity that will evolve, that Build Toronto will lead. It'll be in total of probably a 9-acre site. There'll be about 4.5 million feet of coverage. 4 residential towers, a couple of big office towers, a hotel, a podium, retail, a new major department store, a 2-level mall. I mean, it's a very, very large project.
And these are, I can comment on this, Lorne. You're throwing around numbers, frankly, that are astonishing in terms of having that kind of ability to redevelop that mass, frankly, within the center of one of the largest North American cities, let alone the largest city in Canada. So it is, I don't think you're understating it, Lorne, but I would certainly, like to highlight it's a huge opportunity, frankly.
Are you guys the Ferris wheel guys, too?
No,
that's different.
That's the Portlands.
Okay, just
We're
checking.
not part of that.
I don't want to have you guys here and not talk more broadly about the health of the business, because we've seen a rush of mergers on the REIT side of things. Is it as healthy in the commercial space as we've been told? Does it continue to feel pretty solid?
Yeah, there's still a tremendous amount of interest, and in terms of investing within the country alone, and there's. Not to minimize it to a small area, but that we're all condensed here in terms of a population within our country, pretty close to the border across and there's some major cities. We all know what they are: Montreal, Toronto, Calgary, Edmonton, and perhaps Vancouver, where a lot of the activity or interest is focused upon. And Amanda, there's nothing to be had in terms of investment. So it's, we often get comments from, or questions initially from our American friends that want to come up and invest, and they say, show us where the vacant buildings are, show us where the dark buildings are. You know here that doesn't exist. And so we think it's robust, and we don't think we're headed for any kind of a hard landing in terms of a reversal of perhaps what the U.S. saw relative to overbuilding and building too much. Colliers recently came out with a retail report, Mike, that talked about, the state of the U.S. Influx of retailers that are coming to Canada. It's actually pretty healthy. In other words, we're underserved from a populace relative to the amount of space that we have available for retail.
Do you think the rumor is true that Bloomingdale's is going to come?
I will tell you that I think that Bloomingdale's is real. I think that, well, whether it'll happen or not, who knows? Target threatened for many years to come up here.
Bloomingdale will come in as a segment of the Bay.
Yes.
And in the major centers they will go into. All the U.S. retailers are now very active in the Canadian marketplace, and that's different from 10 years ago. Everything from Nordstrom's to Target to Marshalls are here already. They're all very active. I had the good fortune a number of years ago to put together Vaughan Mills, which is a very unique and different concept, brought many U.S. retailers. The Canadian market is very solid right now, both on the commercial side and on the residential side.
All right, we got to leave it there, I'm afraid, but it's great to have you. Always good to see you, Ian.
Thanks
Lorne,
for having
thank
us.
you for being here.
Thank you, Amanda.
Appreciate
Thank
Ian
you.
Gragtsmans, Colliers International, Lorne Braithwaite, CEO of Build Toronto. And it is time now to zip around.